instruments that play together. And I'll move this out of the way so that you can see. Okay, now in an orchestra is always led by a conductor here at the bottom. The conductor makes sure that all these instruments that are playing together stay together. Because if everybody played everything at the same time and they weren't looking at anybody to be a leader, it wouldn't sound good. It wouldn't be pretty at all. So the conductor down here makes sure that all of these instruments are doing their job. Maybe you recognize some of them, but let's go through instruments in an orchestra, what they are, and how they are grouped. Instruments are grouped into different instrument families. Just like we have a family, instruments have a family. They have things that are similar about them. They might not be exactly the same, but they're part of the same family. They have characteristics that make them similar. So let's go to our first instrument family, which is the string family. I'll move this out of the way so that you, well, I wish I could, whoops, so that you can see better. So there's a few instruments in the string family. The first one is the violin. Then we have the viola, the guitar, the cello, the double bass, and the harp. Now you'll notice that all of these instruments use strings to make their sound. You can use, for violin, viola, cello, and double bass, you can use a bow, which is a stick that has hairs that rub against the string. Not human hair, but horse's hair. And the horse's hair rubs against the strings to make sound. Or string players can use their fingers and pluck each of those strings, and that's how those instruments make sound. Now, you'll see here that we go from smallest to biggest. Now, the smaller the instrument, the higher the sound it makes. Bigger instrument, the lower the sound it makes. So the violin and the viola, they're like brother and sister, but the viola is going to make a deeper, lower sound than the violin because the violin is smaller. Remember, the smaller the instrument, the higher the sound. It's kind of like boom whackers at school. I wish I had them here to show you, but a smaller boom whacker makes a higher sound because these invisible sound waves don't have very far to travel to go from one side to the other side, right? The bigger an instrument is, the longer these invisible sound waves have to travel. So the longer they travel, the lower the sound. So violin and viola is lower. Then we've got the cello. The cello goes in front of you, and a cellist sits in a chair and plays it this way. Violin and viola, it goes up here on your shoulder, and they play it that way. Now, guitar and harp, a little bit different. Guitar, you've seen me play millions of times. You can stand, you can sit, you can use a pick, or you can use your fingers. And then the harp, they use a pick, or they can use their fingers as well to strum and make that noise. Let's go to our next family, which is the woodwind family. Now, in the woodwind family, those are all instruments that make their noise by blowing onto a mouthpiece or a reed. So, in the woodwind family, we've got the piccolo, the flute, the clarinet, the oboe, the bassoon, the saxophone, and then they're also saying that the recorder can be part of the woodwind family also. So let's talk about the flute. Flute you play this way. It goes out in the air. It doesn't sit on your shoulder, but you put your hand like this, hold it, and you blow into this mouthpiece right here. And then there's buttons, and those buttons are the notes, and you blow into the mouthpiece here. It makes pretty high sounds to begin with, but its higher brother or sister is the piccolo. It makes really high sounds, and the piccolo is pretty tiny. It's about this long, so it's not very big at all. Then we've got the clarinet, which you play this way in front of you. You blow into a reed, which is a piece of wood right here, and the sound comes out of this bell here at the bottom. Same thing with the oboe. The oboe has a reed that you stick here and comes out this way. The bassoon is its much bigger brother. It makes very low sounds. You blow in here, and it has a very far way to travel, as you can see. It's pretty tall. Saxophone also, it's bigger, and it has a mouthpiece that goes this way, and sound comes out of the bell over here. And then the recorder, maybe your brother or sister has one, or maybe you can use one during this time at home and play, and you just blow into it that way. And it has little holes where you put your fingers,